I was sitting in a conference room in Singapore, finalizing a 3-year tech partnership deal, when my phone started buzzing. Text after text from my younger brother Daniel. At first, I ignored them. I was literally about to sign documents worth millions for my software consulting firm. But then came the photos. My art gallery in downtown Portland, the one my mentor Professor Catherine Winters left me when she passed 2 years ago. The gallery that housed 15 years of carefully curated modern art pieces, including 3 original works from emerging artists who'd since become internationally recognized. The gallery I'd poured my soul into expanding. Empty, completely stripped, white walls staring back at me through Daniel's shaky camera work. My hands went numb. The Malaysian investor across from me asked if I was okay. I wasn't. I excused myself, grabbed my laptop, and called my brother. "They sold it, Maya," Daniel said, his voice cracking. "Mom and Dad, they sold the whole thing. The building, the art collection, everything. Some investment firm bought it last week. The movers came this morning." "What do you mean they sold it?" "They can't sell it. It's not theirs. They had your signature somehow. I saw the papers." "Maya, I tried to stop them, but Dad said you'd agreed to it. That you were helping pay off Ethan's debt." Ethan. Of course. My golden child older brother who'd managed to rack up $400,000 in debt from his failed cryptocurrency venture and the loans he'd taken from some very sketchy people in Seattle. The brother who still, at 38, lived in our childhood home rent-free. "I never signed anything," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I've been in Singapore for 2 weeks. How could I have signed anything?" Daniel went quiet. Then, "Mom's been weird lately. She kept asking about your schedule, when you'd be back. Dad too. They kept saying Ethan was in trouble, real trouble, that these people were threatening him." I hung up and immediately called my gallery manager, Priya. Straight to voicemail. I tried my assistant curator, James. Same thing. Then I logged into my email. Termination notices, both of them. Sent from my email address 3 days ago, while I was literally presenting at a tech conference in Kuala Lumpur. My email that my mother had access to because she'd helped me set up 2-factor authentication last year when I was recovering from a car accident. My chest tightened. I pulled up my bank accounts. The gallery's business account. Drained. $230,000 gone. My personal savings? $150,000 gone. My emergency fund? $60,000 gone. All transferred out over the past 10 days in increments just small enough not to trigger immediate fraud alerts. All going to accounts I didn't recognize. $440,000. The exact amount Ethan owed. I sat in that conference room half a world away and felt something inside me crystallize. Not shock anymore. Not even anger. Just a cold, clear understanding that my parents had systematically dismantled my entire professional life to save my brother from the consequences of his own stupidity. I booked a flight home, left Singapore 12 hours later, abandoning the partnership deal. My business partner Marcus covered for me, told the investors I had a family emergency. I did, just not the kind that would generate sympathy. The flight from Singapore to Portland was 14 hours. I didn't sleep. Instead, I pulled up every document I had on the gallery. The will Professor Winters had left. The trust documents her lawyer had created specifically to protect the gallery from exactly this kind of thing. The deed showing me as sole owner. Because here's what my parents didn't know. Professor Winters hadn't just left me the gallery. She'd placed it in an irrevocable trust with me as the sole beneficiary and trustee. She'd been very specific about this. She'd watched her own family try to claim her estate when she got sick, and she'd made sure mine couldn't do the same to me. The trust documents explicitly stated that only I could sell, transfer, or modify ownership. Any sale without proper authorization from the designated trustee me would be void. My parents had just committed massive fraud, and they didn't even know it. I landed in Portland at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday. Didn't go home. Went straight to the gallery. The windows were papered over. A construction sign out front read, "Coming soon, Apex Investment Properties." My keys didn't work, they'd changed the locks. I stood there on the sidewalk, staring at 15 years of work reduced to blank paper and a real estate sign, and I felt strangely calm. I called Daniel. "Can you meet me at the coffee house on Morrison?" He showed up 20 minutes later, looking like he hadn't slept since we'd talked. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I should have called you sooner," but they said, "It's not your fault. I meant it." Daniel was 26, still in grad school, still living in that space where you believe your parents might actually have your best interests at heart. "I need you to tell me exactly what happened. Everything." He pulled out his phone, showed me the timeline. Mom and Dad had started the process 3 weeks ago, right after I'd left for my Asia business trip. They'd contacted a real estate attorney, a shady one, based on Daniel's description, who'd somehow produced documents with my signature authorizing the sale. They'd listed the building as a distressed asset sale, probably to move it fast and avoid scrutiny. "The buyer is some investment firm," Daniel said. "They paid cash, $400,000. The art collection went to an auction house in Seattle. Private sale, already completed. Another $200,000, at least. And Ethan?" Daniel's face darkened. "He's clean now." Dad made sure. Paid off all his debts. Ethan's already talking about starting another business, some blockchain thing. Dad's encouraging it. Of course he was. And Mom? What's she saying? She keeps telling Dad it was the right thing, that you're successful, you'll recover, that Ethan needed help more than you needed some hobby gallery. Those were her actual words. A hobby. 15 years of work. A legacy from a woman who'd mentored me through graduate school, who'd believed in me when I was a broke PhD student working 3 jobs, who'd taught me everything about curation and art acquisition and running a business. A hobby. "When did they expect me to find out?" I asked. "They thought you'd be in Asia for another 2 weeks. Mom kept saying, by the time you got back, it would all be done and you'd just have to accept it. That you'd be angry but you'd understand eventually. That family helps family." I finished my coffee. "Okay. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay out of this. Don't tell them you told me anything. Don't tell them I'm back." "Can you do that?" Daniel nodded, looking scared. "Good. And Daniel, thank you for being honest with me. That matters." I left the coffee shop and drove to downtown Portland, to the office of Helena Martinez, Professor Winter's attorney, the one who'd set up the trust. Helena took one look at my face and cleared her calendar. I laid out everything. She pulled up the trust documents, the original will, the deed records. Then she started making phone calls. By noon, I had answers. The signatures were forged. Pretty good forgeries. Actually, my mother had apparently practiced by tracing over my signature on old documents. But they'd made mistakes. The notary stamp was fake. The witnesses listed didn't exist. The real estate attorney they'd used was currently under investigation by the Oregon State Bar for previous fraud cases. "The sale is void," Helena said flatly. "Completely void. The building is still yours. The buyers purchased stolen property, essentially. They'll have to be made whole. But that's not your problem, that's your parents' problem. And the art collection? That's trickier. If the auction house acted in good faith, the sales might stand, but we can pursue your parents for the value. Plus damages, plus legal fees." She looked at me over her glasses. "Maya, this is serious. This isn't just civil fraud. This is identity theft, forgery, possibly wire fraud since they used electronic transfers. This could be criminal." "Good," I said. Helena paused. "You want to press charges?" "I want to understand my options. All of them." We spent the next 3 hours going through every possible legal avenue. By the time I left her office, I had a clear picture of the battlefield. I didn't go to my parents' house. I didn't call them. Instead, I went to a hotel, the Heathman, downtown, and checked in under my business name. I needed space to think without them tracking me down. The first call came that evening. "Mom." I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Sweetie, we need to talk. Your brother mentioned he saw you today. We can explain everything. This was for the family. You understand that, right? Family takes care of family. Call me back." The audacity was breathtaking. The second call came an hour later. "Dad, this time. Maya, your mother's worried. We know you're upset, but you need to see the bigger picture here. Ethan was in real danger. These people don't mess around. We did what we had to do to protect him. You're successful. You have your tech business. You don't need the gallery. Call us back so we can talk like adults. I saved the voicemails. Helena had told me to document everything. The third call came at 10 p.m. Ethan himself. Maya, come on. Don't be dramatic. Mom and Dad helped me out. So what? You've always been fine on your own. You don't need their help. Some of us do. Stop being selfish and call them back. They're freaking out. I blocked his number. The next morning, I met with Helena again. We drafted the legal response, a cease and desist to my parents, legal notification to the investment firm that had purchased the building, notification to the auction house, and a comprehensive filing for fraud, identity theft, and conversion of assets. Once we file this, there's no taking it back, Helena warned. Your parents will face serious consequences. Are you sure? I thought about Professor Winters, about the hours she'd spent teaching me, not just about art, but about standing up for yourself, about not letting people diminish your worth, about how she'd fought her own family in court when they'd tried to claim she was incompetent, tried to put her in a care facility so they could control her estate. I'm sure, I said. We filed Friday afternoon. The calls started immediately. First, Mom, panicked. Then Dad, angry. Then Ethan, furious. I didn't answer any of them. Saturday morning, there was a knock on my hotel room door. I checked the peephole. Mom and Dad, both looking stressed and exhausted. I didn't open it. Maya, please, Mom called through the door. We're family. We can work this out. You don't need to involve lawyers. This is between us. I stayed silent. Dad's voice came next, harder. You're being ridiculous. We're your parents. We raised you. You owe us the respect of a conversation at least. I recorded the whole thing on my phone. Then I texted Helena. They're at my hotel. What do I do? Her response came back immediately. Do not engage. I'm calling hotel security. Stay in your room. Security escorted them out. Mom was crying. Dad was yelling about ungrateful children and family loyalty. The text started after that. From extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. All of them saying the same thing. I was tearing the family apart. I should forgive and forget. Accidents happen. Family is forever. Only Daniel stayed quiet. And my cousin Rachel, who sent a single text. Good for you. Wish I'd had your courage with my parents. Monday morning, the investment firm's lawyers called Helena. They'd done their due diligence after our notification and discovered the sale was indeed fraudulent. They were livid not at me, but at my parents and the shady real estate attorney who'd facilitated the whole thing. They wanted their $400,000 back, plus damages for the time and resources wasted. Tuesday, the auction house called. The art sales were more complicated. 3 pieces had already been sold to collectors. The auction house was willing to work with us, but recovering the art would be difficult and expensive. Wednesday, Helena filed criminal complaints with the Portland Police Bureau. Fraud, identity theft, forgery. The detective assigned to the case called me that afternoon. Miss Chen, he said, I've reviewed the evidence your attorney provided. This is pretty clear-cut. I'll need to interview you formally, and we'll need to bring your parents in for questioning. Are you prepared for that? Yes, I said. Thursday, the police contacted my parents. They lawyered up immediately, hired some criminal defense attorney who specialized in white-collar crime. Friday, exactly 1 week after I'd landed back in Portland, I finally went to my parents' house. Helena advised against it. Let the legal system handle this, she said, but I needed them to see my face. I needed them to understand that this wasn't going away, that they couldn't manipulate or guilt-trip their way out of this. I knocked on the door of my childhood home at 10 a.m. Mom answered. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in a week. Maya? She breathed. Oh, thank God. Come in, sweetie. We need to talk about this misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding, I said, staying on the porch. You stole from me. You forged my signature. You destroyed my business. There's no misunderstanding here. Dad appeared behind her. You're really going to stand there and act like the victim? After everything we've done for you? We put you through college. We supported you when you wanted to waste time on that art degree instead of something practical. We? You mean the college I paid for myself with scholarships and 3 part-time jobs? The art degree I got while you constantly told me I was wasting my time? That's support? Mom flinched. We did the best we could. Your best included committing fraud? We were protecting your brother, Dad's voice rose. He was in danger, real danger. You weren't here. You don't understand what it's been like. Watching him struggle, watching these people threaten him. He made his own choices, I said coldly. He gambled on cryptocurrency. He took loans from loan sharks. Those were his decisions, not mine. And you destroying my life to save him from his own consequences? That was your decision. Now you get to live with the consequences of yours. So that's it? Mom's voice broke. You're really going to let them arrest us? Your own parents? Over money? Over 15 years of work. Over a legacy from someone who actually believed in me. Over you stealing my identity and forging legal documents, and then having the audacity to tell me I should just accept it because family helps family. We're still your parents, Dad said. No, I replied. Parents protect their children. Parents respect their children's autonomy and achievements. Parents don't steal from one child to enable another. You're just 2 people who happen to raise me, and not even particularly well. I turned to leave. Maya, Mom called out. Please, don't do this. We can fix this. We'll find a way to pay you back. Just drop the charges. Please. I looked back at her. You called the gallery my hobby. You told Daniel I'd recover because I'm successful. You genuinely believed that destroying my life's work was acceptable because you've never actually respected anything I've accomplished. You've never seen me as anything more than the backup child, the one who doesn't need help because she's always been fine on her own. Well, I am fine on my own, and I'm going to be fine without you. I left them standing on the porch. The legal process took months. My parents tried everything: apology letters, family mediators, having relatives call me, even showing up at my office. I documented everything and forwarded it all to Helena and the detective. In court, they tried to paint themselves as desperate parents who'd made a mistake. Their lawyer argued they genuinely believed they had the right to access my assets because I was family, because they'd helped me in the past, because they were trying to save their son. Helena shredded that argument. She presented the trust documents, showing the explicit protections Professor Winters had put in place. She showed the timeline of systematic theft, proving premeditation. She brought in the forged documents, the fake notary, the shady attorney. The judge was not sympathetic. This court recognizes the complexity of family dynamics, he said. But what we have here is not a family dispute. This is criminal fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The defendants systematically stole from their daughter over a period of weeks, used forged documents to sell property they did not own, and then attempted to gaslight the victim into accepting this theft as normal family behavior. My parents were convicted on multiple counts. Dad got 18 months, Mom got 12. Both got probation after serving their time, with restitution orders for the full amount stolen plus damages. The investment firm recovered their money from my parents' savings and retirement accounts. The auction house worked with us to track down the art pieces. We recovered 5 of the 15 pieces. The others were gone, sold to private collectors who'd purchased them in good faith. Ethan? He blamed me for everything. Told everyone who'd listen that I'd destroyed the family over money, that I was vindictive and cruel. Last I heard, he was living in Florida, trying to launch another cryptocurrency scheme. Some people never learn. Daniel finished grad school and moved to Boston. We talk once a month. He apologized for not seeing what was happening sooner, but I never blamed him. He was caught in the middle, and he chose honesty when it mattered. The gallery took 2 months to reopen. The investment firm, wanting to avoid a prolonged legal battle, negotiated a settlement where they returned the property for a fraction of what they'd paid. I had to rebuild the collection from scratch, but that turned out to be a blessing. I brought in new artists, created a mentorship program for emerging talents, named it the Catherine Winters Fellowship. My tech business suffered during the legal battle. I lost the Singapore deal, and several clients got nervous about the publicity. but Marcus stood by me, kept things running, and eventually we recovered. The company's actually stronger now. As for my parents, I haven't spoken to them since that day on their porch. They sent letters from prison, mostly self-pitying justifications mixed with half-hearted apologies. I didn't respond. When they got out, they tried reaching out through relatives. I stayed silent. Some people think I'm heartless. Extended family members still whisper about how I sent my own parents to prison over a building. They don't understand, or don't want to. But here's what I learned. Family isn't a free pass to destroy someone's life. Love isn't enabling destructive behavior. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who only see you as a resource to be exploited. Professor Winters used to say, "Respect is reciprocal." The moment someone shows you they don't respect your boundaries, your work, or your worth, they've given you permission to remove them from your life. She was right. I'm 32 now. The gallery is thriving. My tech business is expanding into 3 new markets. I bought a house in the Pearl District, small, modern, mine. I have friends who chose to be in my life, colleagues who respect my work, and a therapist who helped me process the grief of losing parents who were never really there to begin with. Do I regret pressing charges? Not for a second. Do I think about them sometimes? Sure. Usually when I'm at the gallery, standing in front of one of Professor Winters' original pieces that I managed to recover, I think about how she fought her own family to maintain her autonomy, how she refused to let them diminish her life's work, and I think about how she'd be proud that I did the same. People ask if I'll ever reconcile with my parents. Maybe someday, if they genuinely understand what they did and take real accountability. But I'm not holding my breath, and I'm not waiting for that to happen to live my life fully. Because here's the final truth. I didn't destroy my family. They destroyed themselves the moment they decided my worth was negotiable and my life's work was disposable. I just refused to pretend otherwise. And I'm okay with that.